What happens when a group of arrogant hotel employees treat someone poorly because of their own assumptions? Usually, they walk away without consequences. But this time, they had no idea who they were dealing with. Let's just say Arya had a way of flipping the script. It all unfolded on a bright Thursday afternoon. The Opal Crest Hotel lobby buzzed with movement. Guests checking in, bellhops weaving through with luggage, and the steady ringing of the front desk phone. Amid the commotion, a composed black woman, Arya Donovan, walked in. Her attire, an elegant yet understated blouse paired with fitted trousers, gave her an air of quiet sophistication. She didn't wear expensive jewelry, nor did she have an assistant trailing behind her. Just a single overnight bag slung over one shoulder. 6 months ago, Arya had purchased the Opal Crest Hotel, fulfilling a lifelong dream of revitalizing a once glorious establishment. Rather than announcing herself with a press event or staff meeting, she preferred to slip in unnoticed. She wanted to see how things operated when no one knew they were being watched. That day, she planned to check in anonymously, observe the service, and get a first-hand feel for the hotel's atmosphere. As she approached the front desk, a receptionist named Candace barely looked up from her monitor. With pristine nails and a name tag sitting slightly askew, Candace exuded impatience. Her gaze swept over Arya in an instant, her expression unreadable but cool. "Yeah," she said, her tone carrying no warmth. Arya, unbothered, responded smoothly. "I'd like to check in. I have a reservation under Arya Donovan." Candace's fingers tapped the keyboard lazily before her brows knitted together in mock confusion. Not seeing that name here. Are you sure you booked with this hotel?" "Positive," Arya answered, keeping her voice even. "I received a confirmation email earlier today." She pulled out her phone and showed the email, but Candace barely glanced at it before shaking her head. "Well, if it's not in the system, there's not much I can do," she said flatly, crossing her arms. "Are you sure you didn't book a Crestview Inn? It's a little down the street." The subtle jab didn't go unnoticed by nearby guests, some shifting uncomfortably as they pretended not to listen. Arya remained composed. "I'm quite sure this is the right place. Would you mind checking again?" Candace sighed in exaggerated frustration, tapping a few keys before looking up again with the same unimpressed expression. "Nope, nothing. And we're fully booked, so even if you had made a reservation, I wouldn't be able to help you." At that moment, a middle-aged man in a tailored suit approached. He was Marshall Greer, the hotel's general manager. Seeing the tension, he raised a brow. "Is there an issue here?" he asked, eyes flicking between Arya and Candace. Candace gestured toward Arya dismissively. "She claims she has a reservation, but it's not in the system. I told her we're at full capacity." Marshall turned to Arya, giving her a brief, uninterested glance before speaking. "I'm sorry, but if we don't have your reservation on file, there's nothing we can do. You may need to look for accommodations elsewhere." His words dripped with condescension, as if he had already made up his mind about her. Arya, still composed but growing impatient, decided to switch tactics. "Perhaps you could contact your corporate office. They should be able to verify my reservation." And that's when everything changed. Candace let out an exaggerated sigh, rolling her eyes. "Ma'am, we're incredibly busy. We don't have time to track down a mistake that's clearly not on our end." Before Arya could respond, a security guard approached, clearly summoned by Candace. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and stood with his arms crossed, exuding authority. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his voice firm. Arya raised an eyebrow, her calm demeanor unwavering. "No problem at all," she replied smoothly. "Just a simple mix-up regarding my reservation." The security guard turned to Candace, who wasted no time twisting the situation. "She doesn't have a reservation and is refusing to leave," she said, her voice laced with false concern. Arya kept her composure. "That's not accurate," she corrected evenly. "I never refused to leave. I simply asked for clarification on my booking." The security guard's stance hardened. "Ma'am, if you don't exit the premises willingly, I'll have to escort you out." A hush settled over the lobby. Guests whispered among themselves, some exchanging uneasy glances. A few even reached for their phones, sensing that something wasn't right. But Arya remained unshaken. She calmly retrieved her phone, scrolled through her contacts, and made a call. "Hello, this is Arya Donovan," she said, her voice measured. "I'm currently at the Opal Crest Hotel and encountering an issue. Could you send over the regional director and legal team? Thank you." She ended the call and met Candace and Marshall's stares without blinking. "I'll wait right here." The unshakable confidence in her voice sent a ripple of unease through the staff. Candace and Marshall exchanged panicked glances, muttering to each other in hushed tones. 15 minutes later, the entire atmosphere of the hotel lobby shifted. A tall man in an expensive suit strode in, flanked by two other professionals. His presence alone commanded attention. He spotted Arya immediately, his expression warm and respectful. "Miss Donovan," he greeted with a courteous nod. "I sincerely apologize for the trouble. We'll resolve this immediately." The air in the room grew thick with tension as onlookers watched the scene unfold. Marshall's face lost all color. "Wait," he stuttered. "Miss Donovan? As in—" The suited man turned to him with a sharp glance. "Yes, this is Arya Donovan, the owner of the Opal Crest Hotel." The weight of those words hit Candace and Marshall like a brick. Candace's mouth opened and closed in stunned silence, while Marshall's confidence evaporated on the spot. I had no idea," Candace whispered, her voice barely audible. Arya's polite smile faded, replaced by something far more serious. "That much is obvious," she said coolly, "which is exactly why I came in anonymously, to see firsthand how guests are treated when you assume no one of importance is watching." She turned to the suited man. "I'd like a full report on the staff's training records. From today forward, we're conducting a full review of their conduct, professionalism, and adherence to company policy." Arya then looked directly at Candace and Marshall, her voice firm and final. "Your behavior today was unacceptable, not just toward me, but toward any guest who walks through these doors. That's not the kind of establishment I intend to run." Marshall stammered an apology, but Arya lifted a hand, cutting him off. "Save it. Actions speak louder than words." Effective immediately, you're both relieved of your duties. Candace's eyes welled up with tears, but she knew better than to argue. Marshall, however, wasn't ready to back down. "You can't just fire me without—" "Actually, I can," Arya interrupted smoothly. "And I just did." Over the following weeks, Arya wasted no time implementing sweeping changes. She introduced rigorous customer service training, mandatory cultural sensitivity workshops, and strict policies ensuring that every guest was treated with dignity and respect. The transformation didn't happen overnight, but soon enough, the Opal Crest Hotel gained a reputation, not just for its luxurious amenities, but for its exceptional hospitality. Arya's story spread quickly, with news outlets commending her for setting a new standard in the industry. But for her, it was never about making headlines. It was about proving that respect, fairness, and quality service should be the foundation of any business, regardless of who walks through the door. And every time she stepped into the hotel lobby, she was met with warm smiles, genuine greetings, and an atmosphere that reflected the very vision she had set out to achieve, a true testament to the power of leadership by example. Arya's quiet determination reshaped the Opal Crest Hotel into more than just a luxury destination. It became a symbol of integrity, inclusivity, and world-class hospitality. Guests no longer walked in wondering if they'd be judged. They arrived knowing they'd be valued. Her story, once a private lesson in leadership, became an inspiration to many. But for Arya, success wasn't measured by headlines or praise. It was in the genuine smiles of guests, the renewed pride of her staff, and the knowledge that she had built something lasting. Because true leadership isn't about power, it's about setting a standard worth following.